Welcome to my kitchen. Hi, I'm Robin from CookingMexicanRecipes.com, and today I'm making some sizzling chicken fajitas. Now before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about handling chicken. What I like to do is have two cutting boards. I have one cutting board for vegetables and I have another cutting board just for meats and fish. So that's what I've got here. The second thing I want to talk about in handling chicken safely is you want to kind of minimize how many places you set your chicken in the kitchen, because on this package you might have some chicken juice, and if you set it on your counter then you've got some juice there, and you set it over here, you get juice everywhere. So you want to minimize that, and you want to wash everything when you're done. Your knives, your hands, your cutting board, your countertops, anything that the chicken has come into contact with. All right, to get started on our recipe, I've got about a pound and a half of chicken. I have a combination of chicken breast and chicken thighs. Now, if you're worried about fat content, you might want to just go with the chicken breast, but I like the flavor of the thighs. They have a little more fat, and it just tastes a little bit better. So I'm going to use both. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to rinse off the chicken before I cut it up into strips. So first I'm going to start by just trimming off any excess fat that there might be on the chicken. Mostly the thighs have a little bit of fat here that I'm just going to trim off, because I don't really care to have a little fat in there. I'm just going to cut strips like this. I'm going to go ahead and throw them in my dish here so I can marinate the chicken. Now if your chicken breast is a little thick, you might want to just cut it and butterfly it. See how I'm just cutting it in half lengthwise. And then we cut our strips from that. Okay, so now that I have my chicken thighs and breast cut up into nice pieces and in this dish, I'm going to prepare the marinade that's going to go on it. So for our marinade, I'm going to add first 1/2 cup of olive oil to our bowl, and then I'm going to add a teaspoon of liquid smoke to give it that smoky flavor. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, okay, so next I'm going to add 1/4 cup of water and a teaspoon of honey. Any kind will work. And a tablespoon of some fresh lime juice. All this acid really helps to tenderize the chicken. We're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. And I'm going to add 3 cloves, well, actually it's a little more than 3 cloves because I like garlic, but of some minced garlic. So I'm just going to use a garlic press and just place it right in there like that. Garlic gives it a lot of great flavor, so I usually add extra than even what I put on the recipe. Now I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of some ground, actually some oregano leaves, and a teaspoon of soy sauce. Now what we want to do is just mix it all up. So now that I've got my marinade mixed up, I'm going to pour 2/3 of it into the chicken, and then I'm going to save a little bit and I'm going to pour the rest into the vegetables. Now what I have here is I have about 2 onions sliced up, as you can see, and I have a bell pepper, a red bell pepper, about 1/4 inch thick in the slice, and some zucchini, which I've cut into pieces like matchsticks. So everything's pretty much the same size, so it'll cook pretty evenly. So, and what you can do too is I've used, for the meat, I'm going to have this, do it in this bowl here, and I'm going to pour this marinade on. And with the vegetables, what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to place them into this plastic bag so that the marinade will get into all of it a little easier, because I can kind of squish it around. So I'm just going to put all the vegetables in here. You can do the same thing with the chicken if you want to, but today I just decided to put it in a dish. Okay, so I've got that in the bag. I'm just going to pour some of this in to give that some flavor. And now we're going to marinate this for at least an hour. You can go longer if you like. So I just zip this up, see, and I'm just going to mix that marinade into the vegetables a little bit. Stick them both. I'm going to cover these and put them both into the refrigerator. So we're going to marinate everything for about an hour or longer, just depending on how much time you have. Our chicken has been marinating now for about an hour in the refrigerator, so I'm ready to cook it. There are a couple of ways you can cook this. Today I'm going to do it in the frying pan, but you could do it on the grill if you wanted to. The only difference would be is if you decide to grill it, you don't want to cut it up into strips before you cook it, because otherwise you're going to have a problem with the chicken falling through the grate. Today I sliced it up, obviously, and we're going to just fry it here in the frying pan. As you can see, it's smoking hot, so I'm going to add my chicken to it now. Probably do this in 2 batches. I'm cooking up the second batch of chicken here, and what I want to do before taking it out is make sure it's done. So you want to cut into a piece, pick a nice thick piece, and just cut into it and make sure that it's done, and it is. So I'm going to remove these pieces and put it into this container here. Now if you have any leftover marinade from the chicken, just toss that out because it's not safe to use or to pour over your chicken afterwards. Now I'm going to start, and I'm going to toss the vegetables into the frying pan and cook those up. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to the pan. And I'm going to dump these all in. I'm just going to cook them until they're nice, not real soft. I want them to be a little bit crispy. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Just a little bit. So cooking the vegetables in the same frying pan after the chicken, you can see it'll pick up some of the flavor and some of the flavorings from the chicken, and it tastes really great when it gets mixed in there with that. And you can see it turning brown a little bit. So I'm going to cook up the vegetables, the onions, the bell pepper, and the zucchini for 6 or 8 minutes. And then what I've got over here is I've got an extra pan that I'm heating up. It's a comal, and it's heating up nice and hot. And when I serve this, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to put half of it with the chicken and the other half with the vegetables, and then I'm going to serve that to my guests with some guacamole and sour cream and anything else they might want to add to it, like maybe even some cheese. Our veggies are done. You can see that they're slightly limp. The onions are turning a nice little brown color. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put them on our serving dish. I'm going to put some chicken on there first. And you can see how nice and hot that is. And then I'm going to add the vegetables. And that's what we call sizzling chicken fajitas. You can hear it sizzling right here. They're all done. It's nice to serve them on a separate hot comal. Bring it to your table. I've got some sour cream and some homemade guacamole that I made up earlier. And I've got my favorite tortilla oven, and I've got a couple of tortillas in there, and we're going to have our meal. So thanks for stopping by and watching me make these. I hope you try them sometime. They're really good. Make sure you stop by my website at cookingmexicanrecipes.com. I've got a lot more recipes for you there. And be sure and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks again.